Hey there, sports fans. Mr. Noldy back. Today we're going to look at something a little more basic, an equation, a system of equations in algebra. So you would learn this like in your Algebra 1 class. So when you see two equations like this, how we know they're a system is they are usually bracketed like that. So that means that they're simultaneous equations, which means they have the same solution. So if we went back to the graphing days and graphed them, our solution here would tell us where these equations crossed, if they crossed. Okay, we're assuming these are consistent systems. So the first thing we'll do is, this is a lesson on substitution method. So when you look at substitution method, that means you're going to solve one variable. Like this so happens that x is solved already in terms of y. I could solve this top equation in terms of y in terms of x. But since I'm a little lazy by nature, I'm going to go ahead and do the second equation. So one thing you want to do is you want to have good bookkeeping when you learn these, okay? So a lot of times students will say, well, these are so easy, I don't want to do all this stuff. But I usually ask them, do you think these equations will get easier or more difficult as the class unfolds? So always be a good bookkeeper, okay? So I'm going to use equation 1, x equals 3y plus 11, negative 3y plus 11, and I'm going to go to equation 1, and everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put negative 3y plus 11. So let's do that first. Negative 3y plus 11. So make sure you put parentheses around that so that you know you need to distribute this 2 on both of these terms. Then we have minus y, and that is equal to 1. So let's go ahead. Notice now we have one equation, a linear equation, and there's only one variable, so it's y. So we're going to solve this for y. So we start by distributing this 2. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6y. 2 times 11, that gives us 22 minus y equals 1. All right, so notice there's a y term here and a y term here, so I can combine those. So negative 6 and negative 1 would give us negative 7y plus 22 equals 1. So the next step, we want to isolate the variable. So get y by itself, it has a 22 being added to it. So we're going to subtract 22 on both sides. So 1 minus 22 is negative 21. So then, to solve for y is being multiplied by negative 7. All we have to do is divide by negative 7 on each side, and we'd come up with y equals 3. All right, so you're halfway there now. So y equals 3. Let's see, I was working with equation 1, so that means I'm going to go to equation 2, and I'm going to substitute. X equals negative 3y plus 11. So, let's see. X, and this will solve it for y for us. 3y, well, we just figured out what y was. Y is 3, so substitute a 3 in there, plus 11. So just do your simplifications here. You got negative 9 plus 11, because negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, and when I add these two together, we get a 2. So x is 2 and y is 3. So that means this system has a solution. So we would normally just write this as a point, because if I graph these two equations, they would cross at the point 2, 3. So that is pretty much all you have to do there. So let's look at another one, but we'll look at one where we might have to do some rearranging first, okay? Stay tuned. Okay, so here's a different simultaneous system. So notice neither the first equation, let me be a good bookkeeper here, neither the first nor the second equation is solved for one variable or the other. I don't want to work with 2, because if I solve for x, I'm going to end up having to divide both sides by negative 3, so 4/3, that's a fraction. Let's not deal with that. Let's focus on equation number 1, and let's solve that for x. So there's a minus 2y here, so I'm going to add 2y on each side. Oops, that's a pretty bad y. minus 1, because there's already a negative 1 on the right hand side. So now I have x in terms of y, 2y minus 1. So now that I've done that, we go back to the second equation. 2 times x minus 3y equals 4. So now we're going to solve this for y. So x was what? Didn't really leave a lot of room there, did I? 2y minus 1. So go ahead, we'll distribute the 2, so that makes it 4y minus 2 minus 3y equals 4. So we have two like terms on the left hand side, so add those. 4 minus 3 is 1y. And then I can add the 2 on both sides, so 4 plus 2. So now I have y equals 6, so now I'm halfway there again. So what we're going to do is go back to equation 1 and substitute in place of y our 6. So it was 2y minus 1, so y is 6 now. So 2 times 6, that gives us what? 12. And 12 minus 1, well, that would tell us that x is 11. So there we have it. We have the point x equals 11 and y equals 6. So that's our solution. So we had one more step in there. The one thing we had to do was had to rearrange one of these equations to solve for x. So that is how that works when you have to rearrange. So these are very basic equations, but practice with them. Make sure you're doing your bookkeeping, and you're going to be knocking these out of the park in no time flat. So don't forget, do your practice, because math is not a spectator sport. If you want to learn math, you actually have to do math. So, till the next time, this is Mr. Nolde signing out.